Hare Krishna, everyone. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. Can I take just 2 minutes to introduce you?
I've taught before in this class, so people know about me. So you don't really need to reintroduce me.
Okay, but still, I would like to welcome you. And we are very fortunate to have you once again to teach us Nectar of Instruction. And thank you so much, Mataji. We are very grateful to you for accepting this invitation.
Thank you. I'm very grateful for being given this opportunity to actually study NOI once again. So, okay, so let me start with some Mangalacharan verses. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschate Deshatarine. Okay. So I believe you all have finished the first verse and that we are starting from the verse number 2. Is that right?
Yes, Mataji, but it's very long that we did it. So maybe if we could have some overview once again, or as you say.
Okay, I'm just going to do a very, very short overview because I've been given very limited time to finish this book. And this book is actually one of the most important books because it's a very small book, only 11 verses, but this is Krishna consciousness in practice. This is, if we understand this book and we apply this book in our lives are going to change. So the first thing that I want to kind of talk about is from the preface. And Srila Prabhupada says the Krishna consciousness movement is conducted under the supervision of Srila Rupa Goswami. So what does that mean? That means that Rupa Goswami is not an ordinary personality. Rupa Goswami was specially empowered by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he was given instructions by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Prayag. So when we say that this movement is being conducted under the supervision of Srila Rupa Goswami, it means that all those teachings that were given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Rupa Goswami are basically being passed on to us. This is the essence of what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave, and it has been passed on to us via medium of Srila Rupa Goswami. And in the preface, Prabhupada also makes a very wonderful comment that advancement in Krishna consciousness depends on the attitude of the follower. So this is the crux. It is a very, very important statement that wherever we are, whatever advancement we make is actually dependent on our attitude. There's nobody else to be blamed. We can't say that, okay, I did not make so much progress because my geographic location wasn't right. There weren't many devotees around. I did not get good association. If we are not making progress, or if we are not satisfied with where we are in our Krishna consciousness, we are the ones to be blamed. It is our responsibility. It is our attitude which determines whether we are progress or not. In every situation, if our attitude is correct, we can actually use that situation for our benefit. We can use that situation to make considerable progress in spiritual life. So instead of, in the beginning of this book, Prabhupada actually passes on the accountability and responsibility to the practitioner. That, if we are not making progress, don't look outside, look within. Don't look for conditions outside that, oh, because of this, because of that. None of those things matter. What really matters is, how are we really taking on this process? What is our attitude? And that will determine our progress. So this is something that I wanted to speak from the preface. And in the first verse of this amazing work, Vacho Vegam Manasa Krodha Vegam, Jiva Vegam Udarupasta Vegam, Etan Veganyu Vishaheta Dhira, Sarvam Apimam Prithvim Sashishya. That this is the verse in which Prabhupada talks about that how, one should actually learn to tolerate the urges. These are the urges. So he's not saying that you control it. What he's saying is that you learn to tolerate it. What does that mean? That these urges would be there. These urges would keep coming. But we have to learn to tolerate them. So that is a very important point. And this is something Prabhupada equates, that actually a Goswami is one who can operate on that platform. A Goswami is a person who can tolerate the urges of his senses. These urges would come, but he knows how to act. He can still not give in to those urges, but tolerate them. So then Prabhupada in his amazing purport talks about atonement and how devotional service is an atonement in itself, is the highest atonement. If you are a devotee and you're following devotional service, you don't really need to go through any external atonement process. If you continue doing devotional service, that's good enough atonement. So I was reminded of this verse from Bhagavad Gita 9:30, where Krishna says that sadhur eva samantavya, that a person, if he's continuing with his Krishna consciousness, and even if he accidentally commits a very abominable act, I still consider him as a sadhu. And why is that? And Prabhupada in that purport also mentions that it is so because a person who is practicing devotional service, that person does not need to go for any other atonement process. Devotional service by itself is so powerful that it can purify one and burn all the sins that one can ever even dream of committing. So all one has to do is pursue devotional service. And here also in the first verse, Prabhupada talks about Parikshit Maharaj and how he was tested by Shukadev Goswami in the beginning of 6th canto. In the beginning of 6th canto, Parikshit Maharaj tests Shukadev Goswami tests Parikshit Maharaj by suggesting to him that atonement is the best thing. One should atone. And Parikshit Maharaj says that how does the atonement really help? Because if the sinful desire is still in the heart, then how will that atonement really help? It can give you some temporary relief, but since the seed is already there and the seed has not gone away, one would end up committing those sinful activities again. So then Shukadev Goswami actually goes on to tell him that it's the devotional service which is the highest atonement. And in the first verse, Prabhupada also quotes from the commentary of Anuvriti commentary of Srila Bhakti Sastri Thakur, in which he says that like the three main urges, which is the mouth, the belly, and the genitals, they are in one line. Which means that if one has an uncontrolled mouth, that is that you just take in anything and everything, and one has an uncontrolled belly, that means that you don't know how much you should eat and you end up eating a lot, then there will be a pushing of the genitals. The reason they're all three in one line is because they're all connected. Uncontrolled mind would lead to uncontrolled belly, and that would lead to uncontrolled genitals. So that is something which is very important. And now I think I should go to verse number 2. I just wanted to do like a quick recap, although these first couple of verses are so packed that if we really start discussing them, we can go on discussing for hours. But I know I have a course to finish, and you people also have a course to finish. So I'm going to verse number 2, and I'm going to share the screen, and I have highlighted the portions. And I think it would be easier to follow because these are long purports. So I think it would be easier if I share the screen. Is my screen visible? Everybody can see it?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. So maybe only read the highlighted portions, okay? And when if I want to discuss something, I'll stop you there, and then we can discuss that and move on. So somebody can start reading from this verse. Or maybe I can read the verse and you guys can read the translation and the purport, okay? Atyahara prayashascha prajalpo niyamagraha janasanghascha laulyam cha shadbhir bhakti vinashyati. So somebody please read the translation.
One's devotional service is spoiled when he becomes too entangled in the following 6 activities. First, eating more than necessary or collecting more funds than required. Second, over-endeavoring for mundane things that are very difficult to obtain. Third, talking unnecessarily about mundane subject matters. Fourth, practicing the scriptural rules and regulations only for the sake of following them and not for the sake of spiritual advancement, or rejecting the rules and regulations of the scriptures and working independently or whimsically. Fifth, associating with worldly minded persons who are not interested in Krishna consciousness. And sixth, being greedy for mundane achievements.
Thank you. So the words here are atyahar. Atyahar, normally we associate it with overeating, like eating too much. Ahar, we all know, is eating the food, and atyahar is eating too much food. But our Acharya Sen Prabhupada also explains that atyahar can be used for any sense. It is just not mouth. We can do atyahar with any sense. And prayas means to make the effort. Prajalpa is idle talk, we all are aware of it. Niyam agraha, and then Janasangha and Lolyam. So Rupa Goswami is giving us 6 ways in which devotional service is destroyed. So when we read the verse number 1 of NOI, we think that's a very high platform. Vacha Vegam, Manasa Krodha Vegam, it's a very high platform. How do we really reach there? So the Acharyas mentioned that second and third verses are actually the stepping stone to the first verse. If you practice second verse and the third verse, you will be able to reach the verse number 1. You can become a Goswami. This is the practice. Okay? So let's read from Prabhupada's amazing purport. So these purports are packed, so we are going to read almost all of it because there's so much that Prabhupada is packing in each and every purport. So please, somebody can read the highlighted portion.
Hare Krishna Mataji, can I read?
You don't need to ask, just go ahead.
The living entities constitute the marginal potency and they are situated between the internal and external potencies. Being subordinate as eternal servants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Jivatmas or atomic living entities must remain under the control of either the internal or external potency. When they are under the control of the internal potency, they display their natural constitutional activity, namely constant engagement in the devotional services of the Lord.
Thank you. So we have read in Bhagavad Gita also that how Jiva is a Tathastha Shakti or marginal potency of the Lord. And even though the Lord says in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita that the Jiva is my superior energy, but still quantitatively we are so small. Qualitatively we are Sachidanand, but quantitatively we are so small that we need the support of one of the energies. We need the support of either the external energy of the Lord or the internal energy of the Lord. So here, Prabhupada is distinguishing that external energy of the Lord is the material energy, and it is very, very stringent. It is actually, we have read, Devi Esha Gunmai Mama Maya Duratyaya. It is very stringent and no mercy at all. But the internal potency of the Lord and the ruling deity of internal potency is Srimati Radharani. And she is extremely compassionate and merciful. So bhakti is actually performed under the shelter of the internal potency of the Lord, under the shelter of Srimati Radharani. So Prabhupada is saying that the living entities, when they come under the control of the internal potency, they display their natural constitutional activity. What is that natural constitutional activity? Jivera Sarupaya Krishnera Nityadas. That's the constitutional activity of a jiva. And a jiva engages in the devotional service of the Lord. Then Prabhupada says the word Mahatma refers to those who are broad-minded, not cripple-minded. Cripple-minded persons, always engaged in satisfying their senses, sometimes expand their activities in order to do good for others through some isms like nationalism, humanitarianism, or altruism. They may reject personal sense gratification for the sense gratification of others, like the members of their family, community, or society, either national or international. Actually, all this is extended sense gratification, from personal to communal to social. This may all be very good from the material point of view, but such activities have no spiritual value. The basis of such activity is sense gratification, either personal or extended. Only when a person gratifies the senses of the Supreme Lord can he be called a Mahatma or broad-minded person. We have read in Bhagavad Gita also, the 9th chapter, Mahatma, when he tells Arjun to become a Mahatma, there also Prabhupada talks in great detail about who a Mahatma is. And here also he's talking about Mahatmas. And the reason he's saying all this, that sometimes we think that Mahatma, especially in India, we associate Mahatma word with Mahatma Gandhi. And we see that, okay, the reason he is Mahatma is because he is, he's engaged in social work, he's engaged in helping the society. And Prabhupada is actually breaking that conception. Prabhupada is saying that whether one is actually doing sense gratification personally or is engaged in some kind of ism, trying to help the nation, trying to help the humans, trying to help others, it is nothing but extended sense gratification. Whether you do it for yourself or for others, it is extended sense gratification. Directly or indirectly, it means sense gratification. The only thing that is not sense gratification is when we try to satisfy the senses of the Lord. That is actually devotional service. That is actually being broad-minded. Otherwise, Prabhupada says a person who doesn't do that cannot be called a Mahatma. Mahatma is a person who's under the internal potency of the Lord and who is performing devotional service. So Prabhupada is making it very clear. And then he says that in the above quoted verse from Bhagavad Gita, the word Daivim Prakritim refers to the control of internal potency or pleasure potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This pleasure potency is manifested as Srimati Radharani or her expansion Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune. So Prabhupada is making it very clear. So that if one is under the control of the internal potency of the Lord, then that such a person can be seen as a Mahatma. And if one is under the external potency of the Lord, such a person is not Mahatma, he's a Duratma. And then Prabhupada goes on to talk about different kind of sufferings in this world, which are basically applicable to those who are under the control of Mahamaya or external potency of the Lord. He talks about the threefold miseries like Adi Devik Klesh, Adi Bhautik Klesh, and Adhyatmik Klesh. And then after that, he says that the main problem confronting the conditioned souls is the repetition of birth, old age, disease, and death. And he says that in the material world, one has to work. You don't have an option, you have to work. But how do you really balance such a work with the favorable execution of your Krishna consciousness? So now we'll read. This is again the highlighted. Just read the first paragraph first. Somebody please read.
Hare Krishna, Maji.
Hare Krishna.
According to nature's arrangement, living entities lower on the evolutionary scale do not eat or collect more than necessary. Consequently, in the animal kingdom, there is generally no economic problem or scarcity of necessities. If a bag of rice is placed in a public place, birds will come to eat a few grains and go away. A human being, however, will take away the whole bag. He will eat all his stomach can hold and then try to keep the rest in storage. According to scriptures, this collecting of more than necessary, atyahar, is prohibited. Now the entire world is suffering because of it.
The Prabhupada is making such an important point, like how, all other species except for humans don't do atyahar. We are given higher consciousness, higher intelligence, and what do? We actually do atyahar, which is detrimental for our devotional service, detrimental for the whole world. Because something, there's, like it says, that there's enough in this world for everyone's need, but not enough for everyone's greed. So is that, like Prabhupada is saying that if whole bag is placed of grains, a whole bag of grain is placed on the road, then a human being is going to take the whole thing. He's not going to think about it that I don't really need all this. I just need a little bit, and maybe others can also take and they can also benefit. A human being doesn't think about that. What the human would do, they'll just pick it up and take it all and try to consume it all. So do we also do that as devotees?
Hare Krishna, Pranam Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Thank you for coming. I was
Thank you.
missing you. I was about to call you, last week.
you.
I was missing you in separation.
Oh,
And
thank you.
I was hearing one lecture in YouTube. I was making some notes, maybe from the Bhakti Sastri, old Bhakti Sastri classes, annual classes. So then I was not looking at the video, and I was noting down something, and all of a sudden, and within that 1 or 2 days, I was thinking to call you, but I didn't have your number. I don't know, did you respond or not? And miraculously, all of a sudden, your voice came up. Then I just looked up on that video, because obviously when I'm hearing NOD classes, the next video will turn on, right? But you were giving Bhagavad Gita class to Hindi batch.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Wow.
oh, Krishna, I just thought, oh my God, how Krishna
Thank you.
reciprocates. And when I got to know that you are going to take our classes, obviously we were waiting for Mataji also, but I'm equally happy that you have
Thank
come
you.
back.
Thank you.
So
Yeah.
Mataji, how to understand? This is very, very practical example and something which really enters to the heart. But this reminds me of a time when my mom says that there was not enough money in when she got married. So what they used to do, that my daddy used to sell something in the market, or I don't know what exactly, the milk or whatever. And when she used to get money after selling, she used to buy the grains. And then my mom and my chachi or tai used to grind the grain and take the atta and make rotis and all. But my mom came from a somewhat wealthy family. Then she used to ask why we need to do that. Why can't we grind the flour for a week and then use it? Then my daddy used to say that we don't have enough money, so we have to survive like this. So this is what something, but generally we see that we store at least for a month or like that. So for the daily necessities part, how to understand this?
Yeah. Good point. Good point that a grihastha has to obviously plan for the future. This is one ashram where planning for the future is allowed and encouraged. But there is something called realistic planning and there's something called hoarding. So a lot of times we tilt on the hoarding side. So that is something that one has to be conscious about. And the reason I was asking this question is because I have seen this tendency around me, in myself also, that especially, devotees can think, oh, I don't really do this. I don't really hoard or I don't really do this. But if you get Mahaprasad, what do you do? How many people do we really are interested in sharing it with? So this tendency is there in us also. So sometimes even if we get a lot of Mahaprasad, the idea is that I'll eat it today, tomorrow, day after, one day after that, I'll keep it in the refrigerator and I'll keep eating and not really share. So this tendency is also there. And also Prabhupada and other acharyas says, Prabhupada says in many places, that this atyahar can also be in terms of accumulating knowledge. Sometimes, we may, or even in the terms of reading books or, collecting books. So sometimes it may look like a very devotional activity that I'm collecting books which are spiritual, but it could also be atyahar. Because what are you really collecting it for, or what are you reading it for? Is it for the pleasure of Guru and Gauranga, or is it for my own sense gratification? Sometimes we may even end up reading scriptures just because we want to feel that we are important, or we want to show others that we know something or we are better. So it is the attitude behind it that will determine whether it's atyahar or not. Okay, so now Prabhupada says collecting and eating more than necessary also causes prayas or unnecessary endeavor. So atyahar results in prayas, because if you're collecting too much, you will have to make extra effort to acquire that. By God's arrangement, anyone in any part of the world can live very peacefully if he had some land and a milk cow. There's no need for man to move from one place to another to earn a livelihood, for one can produce food grains locally and get milk from cows, and that can solve all economic problems. Fortunately, man has been given higher intelligence for the cultivation of Krishna consciousness or the understanding of God. One's relationship with Him and the ultimate goal of life, love of God. Unfortunately, so-called civilized man not caring for God realization utilizes his intelligence to get more than necessary and simply eat to satisfy the tongue. So Prabhupada is making a very important point that the humans have been given higher consciousness, higher intelligence to endeavor to become Krishna conscious, to endeavor to re-establish our relationship with Krishna. But what are we using this intelligence and this consciousness for? That how I can get more, and how I can work more and get more. And this is so rampant. You see the way people work nowadays. It is kind of shocking for me to just see that people are working 12, 14 hours a day so they can make more money and have better material facilities. They don't really care that, they're compromising their Krishna consciousness. But the idea is that I want to be materially successful. So this is what is happening in the outside world, but for a devotee, it doesn't make sense, because a devotee needs to understand the higher purpose of life. That I have been given this human birth for a reason. This human birth is not an ordinary birth. There is a reason behind it. So that's why Prabhupada is stressing over it, that atyahar and prayas, it makes no sense for a devotee. The more you'll collect, the more effort you'll have to put in to collect that. More desires you have, And it could very well be disguised as a spiritual desire. Like I was saying, that a lot of times we may really think that it is actually, I'm just doing it spiritually. This is my spiritual thing. I'm not really trying to enjoy myself. But that desire may be so subtly there for enjoyment that one may totally miss it. It could be subtly there. So one has to be very careful and examine the motivation behind it. Why am I doing what I'm doing? In spiritual life, this is the key to success, that whatever we do, even if we are coming to a class, even if we are doing Bhakti Sastri course, what is my motivation? Why am I really doing this? So this is something that we constantly need to readjust our consciousness, because sometimes we may start with the right motive, right motivation and right consciousness, but as time passes, it may get contaminated and we may actually develop other desires. So recalibration of the consciousness is there in spiritual life. Every day we have to do that. Every day we have to remind ourselves, what are we doing? Why am I here? Why am I going to the temple? Why am I going to a class? Why am I studying this book? Okay, so I see a few hands up. Shruti-priya?
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
There is like nowadays tendency, especially among younger devotees, and like everyone says that right now you are young, you can work more, you can earn more, and like in devotee community only this thoughts are there, and we also tend to like, even if it is not required, we just require little bit money, but we will earn more and we save the rest, do investment. So how to understand?
Yeah. So like I said, in Grihastha life, you are expected to save, you are expected to earn. But what really is atyahar? When do you really know that it's more than what I should be doing, or I'm putting in more effort than I should, I'm over endeavoring? How do you really know? So Prabhupada gives a guideline that you do your work for 8 hours with all honesty. 8 hours of hard work with all honesty, and whatever you make is your quota. And if you try to work much more than that, it is actually at a cost of your spiritual life. You understand? You're basically prioritizing your material life now and postponing your Krishna consciousness. So that is a very dangerous thing to do. And why? Because first of all, nobody knows how long we are here for. You may keep on postponing your Krishna consciousness, but we don't know if you're going to be around for that time to practice Krishna consciousness. And second, if you get used to so much material work and so much interaction with the material energy, it becomes more and more difficult to come under the shelter of the internal energy, because that starts to become your default setting. But yes, that is also true that when you're young, you should earn. But make a balance. Balancing is the key. Thinking that, okay, let me put in 14 hours now and let me earn. And, after maybe like 15 years, I will retire and practice spiritual life fully. That is also not a good proposition. One has to strike a balance now. Is that okay?
Yes, Madhuri, but sometimes like even 8 hours is like very, very taxing.
It is. This is material world. This is dukhalaya mashashvatam. It is very taxing. If you can get by working less, wonderful.
Okay.
Okay.
So we should, yeah, definitely we should strike a balance that we can give enough time for spiritual life also.
Yeah. Yeah.
Safety. Okay.
That is the benchmark. Like, never compromise on your spiritual life. Don't compromise. For some time, there may be phases in life when there is something there's a project which is, very demanding. And for maybe like a month or two, you have to compromise your spiritual life a little bit to get that project done. That's okay. That's okay. But it should not become a regular thing. Okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Anchana Varna Gorangi. Yes.
Hi Krishna Mataji,
Hare
pranams.
Krishna. Yes.
Mataji, as it was said, that motivation matters, like why we are our motivation matters in our spiritual life. But the spiritual activities that we perform in itself are purifying. So, so even if I'm doing a certain activity with the wrong intention, as for now, like reading scriptures, if I'm doing it not for if for showing to my senior, or like to report to my senior, or anything like wrong motive, but the activities in itself are purifying, because like we say to other devotees also, for ourselves also it is like that. So how
Yeah.
to understand this?
Okay, good. Very good question. So actually, this is how Prabhupada starts anyway. The attitude of a performer determines one's progress in spiritual life. So we may be doing a lot of activities. Yes, they do purify. They purify our senses, but they do not give the result that you can get from that activity. For example, if say we are studying Shastra, I can do study of Shastra for let me get some knowledge so I can preach. This could be one motivation, or there could be a motivation that I have to fill up my sadhana card. I have to show something there, so I have to let me just study because of that. Or there could be a motivation that Krishna, I want to reestablish my connection with you. I want you to tell me what I really need to work on. And I know this Shastra is a dynamic Shastra. It is not a static book. So you know what I need to know right now or need to work on right now. So reveal that to me. If that is the mood, the transformation is going to be completely different. There is benefit in all three ways, but one is completely transformational. It will actually cause a revolution in our lives if we have that mood. And otherwise, yes, you will get some knowledge, you will get some purification, but it will not give you the result that it can.
The result will be delayed.
Delayed for maybe 10 years, one lifetime, multiple lifetimes, who knows? Right? When Prabhupada says you can go back in one lifetime, it means that the attitude has to be right. Our consciousness has to be right. We need to realign our consciousness every day before every activity that we do in spiritual life. Is that okay? Anandita Mataji, you have something to say?
Yeah, I'm your Anandita, not Mataji.
Okay,
As
okay,
you
yes. Yeah.
Mataji, in continuation with the reply that you gave to Shruti Priya Mataji, uh, uh, it nowadays, I'm not working as of now, but it's nowadays we don't see that. Even if the 8 hours job is there, but the commuting time takes a lot of thing. In the commuting part, it takes a lot of time, and in that commuting part, your chanting is not counted, your reading is not counted, because that is not so effective, not at all effective. So how do those girls, even if my niece or any of these girls or any other devotee girls are working, then how should they manage? Because they have.
First of all, yeah, if you're commuting, say the metro, and it is a little quiet, you then you can chant also. But if it's not something, if you're getting distracted and you're not able to concentrate, hearing is the best thing to do. Just hear, plug onto something, and it could be as simple as a kirtan that you like. Just hear, let some transcendental
Kya
vibration.
hua, Wi-Fi?
Huh? So
Sorry,
let
I
some.
couldn't.
Oh, you can. I'm not audible.
No, I got disconnected.
Okay. So some transcendental vibration needs to go in. So we can use this time for hearing. And it could be a lecture. If you can concentrate on that. If you can't concentrate on that, it could be as simple as a kirtan. That transcendental vibration makes a difference. Okay? Is that okay? Harshita?
Hare Krishna,
Mataji,
Mataji.
just a second. Mataji, just a second.
Okay.
Yeah, that answer is clear. I wanted to communicate this to somebody. So second thing, Mataji, you replied to Kanchan Varna Mataji, and that the attitude is very important, and this is what something you have brought up a very important point, and I will note down everything. So what I wanted to ask is that if we are reading, because if we think that we have to, our Guru Maharaj or Prabhupada wants us to preach, even Krishna wants us to preach, right? So for that purpose, I have to read or I have to prepare nicely. So that will not come in Atyahara, because you have to read for preparation. So that means you are giving, right?
Yeah.
Is this the proper attitude?
Yeah, the attitude is proper that, we are doing it as a duty or as a service to our spiritual master, as a way to serve Krishna. But if you tune your consciousness a little bit more and, not only just read to preach, but read to transform yourself as well at the same time,
Yeah.
then it has really amazing effect. And best preaching is done from realization. So the more you will realize, the more you will practice, the more preaching you will get done, and more hearts it will change.
Yeah, true much. Thank
Okay,
you.
Harshita.
Hare Krishna, Maji Pranam. Maji, can you please
Hare
repeat the last line? The best preaching comes from realization. So can you please repeat that
But
line?
more, more you apply in your life, the more realized you are, the more hearts you can change.
So we will realize if we read with a proper attitude.
Yes, of course, because this knowledge is not processed through intelligence. Shastras are processed through connection and mercy. This knowledge, like we hear, Hridaya Prakashita, it actually becomes lightened in the heart. So this does not happen by intelligence. Intelligence, you can gather some information, but transformation happens in the heart. Okay?
So, Samaji, my question is also regarding this reading only. Like when we are reading Srila Prabhupada's books, we can see that yes, it will help me improve my practice. It will help me preach better and so on. But there are also so many times we see in temple other books like on Samacharyas or Lord Jagannath books. So I know I don't have to give a lecture on that topic. I cannot use it for preaching immediately, but I'm just so excited on seeing the book. Oh wow, new book! I want to read it. So
There's no harm in
so
that. There is no harm in that. If the Acharya Prabhupada encourages in the first canto, first verse itself, he actually encourages that a sincere student of Bhagavatam would do well to study the commentary of the Acharyas. So Prabhupada is encouraging that. So we should read those commentaries, but our benchmark is first read Prabhupada books. He's our Acharya. He's the Acharya who has come specifically for us. So read Prabhupada books, and then we can read other books also. There's no harm, but the consciousness has to be placed properly. Why am I reading this? Krishna, I just want to be more attracted to you. I'm reading this because I just want to develop this attraction for you. So that could also be a motivation. It doesn't really have to be some long drawn motivation. But my point here is that don't do it mechanically, do it consciously. All right? Does that help? Okay, I can see people are appearing and disappearing, so I'm not able to figure out what's really happening. Dayanvita?
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, as you mentioned in the beginning of the class, that these Goswamis know how to control their urges. And obviously, we learn from our acharyas, so how they resist those temptations if they are facing, because we are living in a very Kaliyug, and internet is the very evil for us. It is a boon, and it is a blessing also. Like we would hear a lot of things of Srila Prabhupada, associations we get from online by using Veda base also, and from YouTube also. But it is an evil also. So how these acharyas, like our Goswamis, first of all, how they resist those temptations? Because
See, the only way to get detached from these temptations is to get attached to Krishna. When attachment increases, automatically there'll be detachment. So our focus is not to detach, our focus is to attach. That I want to get attached to Krishna, I want to get attracted to Krishna. And also intelligently choose how you use these gadgets. Don't just keep using it mindlessly. That just a lot of times I see even devotees, they're just sitting there doing this, watching reels, doing different kind of things, not even registering what's happening. So whatever we are using, if you're conscious, we'll know how to use it. It is a wonderful preaching tool. It is a wonderful way to actually get online association. But we need to be conscious. How are we really using it? Is that okay?
Yeah. Okay, Mataji, thank you so much.
Okay, let's move on. Then Prabhupada says that if people are advised not to collect too many goods, eat too much, or work unnecessarily to possess artificial amenities, they think they're being advised to return to a primitive way of life. Generally, people do not like to accept plain living and high thinking. That is the unfortunate position. So this is so true. We see this is so rampant. If you tell people that, try to live simply, you don't really have to live in a way you're living right now. Just live simply and just eat as much as you need to, work as much as you need to, and collect as much as you need to. People don't really like this advice because they are so much in the mode of passion that they like to collect, they like to work, they like to do all these things. So that is Prabhupada saying that this is the unfortunate position. And then Prabhupada quotes from Bhagavatam 1-9, where Suta Goswami says that dharmasya hi apavargasya nartho ritha yo pakalpate. So he said all occupational engagements, dharma, are certainly meant for ultimate liberation. That is what dharma is meant for. They should never be performed for material gain. Furthermore, one who is engaged in the ultimate occupational service, dharma, should never use material gain to cultivate sense gratification. Very heavy. That dharma is only for practicing Krishna consciousness. Whatever we do, dharma is for that, not for artha. Normally we think that dharma and artha, then kama, and then moksha. Right? So that is not, Prabhupada is saying that is not really advisable. And one should never use material gain to cultivate sense gratification. We already have so much, so many sanskars from our past lives of sense gratification. We don't really need new sanskars. We are fighting with our old sanskars, we are fighting with our old impressions and anartha so much that we should never really encourage sense gratification and acquire new ways to gratify our senses. So that is also something that one needs to be careful about. And then Prabhupada says the first step in human civilization consists of occupational engagements performed according to the scriptural injunctions. This is also very important. Sometimes even devotees, they're not really aware of what kind of occupational engagements are actually not favorable for devotional service. Sometimes you see devotees working in the meat industry, devotees working in liquor industry. So these are the occupations which are not really according to the scriptural injunctions, and a devotee must be aware of this and should stay away from such occupations. Okay? And Prabhupada says that as stated above, dharma sahi apavargasya nartho rithayo pakalpate. Religion is meant for attaining emancipation, not for getting bread. Sometime human society manufactures a system of so-called religion aimed at material advancement, but that is far from the purpose of true dharma. Religion entails understanding the laws of God. Dharma tu sakshat bhagavad pranitam. because the proper execution of these laws ultimately leads one out of material engagement. So dharma or religion is basically nothing else but it is the law of law of God, and one needs to practice it to get out of this material world and not to stay fixed here, not to just keep going up and down in this material world. So Prabhupada makes it very clear that it is not for making ourselves comfortable in the material world. It is for attaining the eternal world. Okay? Then Prabhupada is saying, unfortunately, people accept religion for material prosperity because of atyahar and excessive desire for such prosperity. True religion, however, instructs people to be satisfied with the bare necessities of life while cultivating Krishna consciousness. The simpler our life is, that much less atyahar we need to do or prayas we need to do, right? The problem is we have a very complicated life and a host of desires, and as a result we keep collecting, keep working for it, and making it difficult for ourselves to actually practice Krishna consciousness. The more entangled we are in this material world, the more difficult it will become for us to get out of this material world, or more difficult it will become for us to actually practice Krishna consciousness. So even though we require economic development, true religion allows it only for supplying the bare necessities of material existence. Jivasya tattva jigyasa. The real purpose of life is to inquire about the absolute truth. So actually, I had this amazing realization during COVID. I had this realization that how little we actually need. Because we were in a lockdown, everything we had to do on our own. And you could not just get anything anytime anywhere, so everything was restricted, and then you realize that how little do you really need. So it's an amazing realization, because it makes you aware that even you may not really realize it, but how much we tend to over collect and how much we tend to over endeavor. We are so busy actually maintaining our material life that we have forgotten how to maintain our spiritual life. We spend so much time in maintaining our apartment, cleaning our apartment, that we forget to clean the heart. We actually forget to clean that apartment where the soul lives, where we live, right? We are externally cleaning a place where the body lives, but not really cleaning or maintaining where we live. So that is something that we need to become conscious of. Okay, so now maybe somebody can read from another impediment.
Hare Krishna. Another impediment is prajalpa, unnecessary talking. When we mix with a few friends, we immediately begin unnecessary talking, sounding just like rocking toads. If we must talk, we should talk about the Krishna consciousness movement.
So Prabhupada is giving very practical advice, So a lot of times we also see that we may actually call it, oh, I'm associating with devotees. Oh, I'm going for a sangha. Oh, I'm going for devotee association. And if we see what do we really do in that association, it is nothing but prajalpa. It is nothing but prajalpa. It's just that it has been quoted in such a way that we can kind of feel satisfied that we were in devotee association. A devotee association is that association where you actually try to become more Krishna conscious. Association means transfer of consciousness. If you were in association where after you come back you felt more excited in your Krishna consciousness or more nourished in your Krishna consciousness, that is really a devotee association. So even with devotees, we have to be careful. What are we really doing? So a lot of times we can see that even with devotees, we actually are not doing nothing but prajalpa. But since we're doing it with devotees, we think it's association. Is that okay? And Prabhupada says, it's very nice. Prabhupada doesn't say just talk about Krishna. He said talk about Krishna consciousness movement. Talk about preaching, talk about book distribution. Do try to talk about something practical. You don't always have to talk about, oh, Krishna and his pastimes, but you can even talk about how to practically spread this movement. What kind of programs can be held? How to, make it reach to people it has not reached to before. So, okay, Anandita.
Hare Krishna Mataji. I have two questions regarding this. The very difficult part for me is to when you are preaching to new people, especially, and when you have to be in connection to them, in contact with them. Initially for a few months, like you have to be in touch with them, while like weekly or fortnightly. So you have to end up with listening so many things, and so much of time is sucked. I won't say it's sucked, but sometimes it seems like, and that must be, devotees say that it's an investment, because initial bonding keeps them to go a long way. But it really sometimes, like, I feel like that I have to write in my sadhana chant that calling seva, because I have really invested 2 hours or 3 hours of just in talking. This is the first thing that I want to ask. So how to understand this?
Okay, so yes, when we especially preach to devotees and preach to new people, we have to invest our time. That is a given. So that, the only way they can leave their material engagements is if they're finding something in the spiritual life, some excitement in spiritual life. That is the only way you can give up the material engagement. So yes, we all have to do that. But at the same time, one has to be intelligent in the way we spend our time. Lot of times, it is my personal experience that people are not really interested in taking any advice or instruction. People want to use you as a garbage dump, where they come, they unload their problems, they cry, and they go back, and then they go back to the same thing again and again. And they are not really willing to find some Krishna conscious solution for their problems. So this one has to be intelligent enough to discern what is really happening. My spending so much time with this person, is it really helping this person to progress spiritually? And not at the cost of my own Krishna consciousness. Never at the cost of my own Krishna consciousness. So one should, make this judgment and then use one's time accordingly. Okay. So I can hear some sound. Where is this sound coming from? Somebody's chanting. Okay. Yeah. So this is another thing that, one should be careful that, yes, I have to spend time with new devotees, but at what cost?
So initially you have to be with them, because you never know that whether they will really using you to unload their garbage, or they are really interested. So initially you cannot judge, but in the long run, when we see that we keep on inviting them to the class, they are not coming, or they are just using you, then we have to give up. Like, they will not go in the long way.
Yeah.
So yeah, but initially it becomes really a challenge. Yeah. So second thing, Mataji, like generally we don't associate with non-devotees, but one of our you must be knowing His Grace Chaitanya Avtari Prabhu and his wife from Bangalore. They are one of the congregational preachers, preaching pioneer in developing the Bhakti Viksha models and all. So they took one of our training sessions in Corona time. So till that time, and still I'm the same, because I just keep away myself in talking to my old friends who are materialistic, or many of the relatives and all. So then they have raised one thing, that if you will not talk to them, if you will not share your Krishna consciousness, or keep inviting them, or somehow engage them in Krishna consciousness, then how will they go? Usually, generally, devotees avoid that association.
Yeah.
So that was really a striking point, and I tried to work on it, but still I think no, I will not call, I will not talk, because it will take much of time. I don't know
Yeah,
whether they
it
will.
actually depends. Again, like I said, like Prabhupada says, that it depends on our attitude. Why are we associating with them? What's the purpose? Like I said, association is acquiring the consciousness of the other person. If you are calling them and they are going back by taking some, imbibing some of your consciousness, if they are going back with some positivity in terms of how they relate to Krishna or how they relate to ISKCON, that is good. That is preaching. But that is something that one has to be intelligent enough to realize that, what am I doing here? Are they really going back with a more positive impression, or I just ended up taking their consciousness instead? So that danger is also there. That sometimes, that energy is so heavy that we actually end up taking their consciousness instead of giving them our consciousness. So that's something also to look for.
Yeah, that's very true, Mataji. Because myself being like, because even if we don't try to be, but we tend to be affected by their consciousness, by the thoughts and ideas.
So that is
It's
why it's
really
very, very important to first, think about it and tune your consciousness. Okay, I've invited these people. They are coming to my place. What is the purpose here? What am I trying to achieve here? And pray before they show up. Pray to the Lord. Pray to your deities. Pray to your spiritual master. Pray to Prabhupada that my purpose of inviting them here is to make them positively inclined towards Krishna consciousness. So you please help me.
very nice. Thank you.
Mandaleshwar Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mother, Dandat Pranam.
Dhamma Prabhu.
Thank you for after long back, Mataji, you're taking the class. Mataji, just asking that question of Prajalpa regarding that. Generally, devotees will talk in behalf of some devotees. They will talk that chat regarding that devotee only. Generally, in metal world, they will talk about the metal things who are missing that in that group. They will talk about that person only. In this also, in devotee congregation also, we'll talk about that character who is not present there, and we'll discuss about that person only. This some things practically that happens in materialistic or spiritualistic. We see that things commonly going on, and how to avoid that things, and if they are seniors are talking in front of us, and how to make it not aparadha also, and how this could handle.
Yeah, this was my dilemma for the longest time. That I'm surrounded by seniors and they start talking about something, and now I don't want to seem rude. So what do I do now? So slowly, with the help of my counselors, and Krishna gave some intelligence, I came to the point where if somebody starts talking about something which is detrimental, which is prajalpa, I normally deflect that topic. I deflect that topic. If somebody starts, oh, about this is devotee, I deflect that topic. Oh, where is Guru Maharaj nowadays? How is Guru Maharaj doing? Do you know? So, I deflect it. And then they get caught in that new topic and they forget about talking about that devotee. So I normally do that. Or if people start talking, even on the phone, people sometimes call and they start talking about some other devotee. And then I'll tell them, yeah, Prabhu, okay, I need to go now. I have this service, or I have to do something for my deities. I'm so sorry. And then I go. So this is for me, a lot of times I don't like to confront. It's also nature, personal nature. Everyone has their own nature. My nature is I'm not confrontational. So I don't like to confront, and at the same time, I am also scared of confronting because I don't want to offend anybody. So I always take this route that, I have to go somewhere. Even if it happens physically and there are seniors, then I just told them, I need to go and drink water, or I just need to go. I'm hungry, I need to go and eat something. So I just get up and leave. And you can always find ways. I need to use a washroom. Nobody can stop you from doing that. So this is the way to really get out of that particular situation. If you can't control the discussion that is happening, then just get out. If you can control the discussion by changing the topics, do that. If you can't, then get out.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you very much. One more question, Mataji, not related to this topic, but I want to ask because this is going to the last session of Bhakti Sastri, and I want to know that our senses are imperfect, and we select our guru by our imperfect senses only. And how can we can judgment that whatever are we doing by this imperfect can be become perfect, maybe in mind, maybe in senses, or
Okay.
maybe in consciousness.
If I understand you saying that with imperfect senses, we select a guru, how can we be sure if that's the right choice? Is that your question?
Yes, Mataji, not only guru, anything we select
Anything.
by our imperfect senses only.
Yeah. So the best thing is to depend on the internal energy of the Lord. Before you do anything, just pray. Like, Krishna, I'm going to do this now. Or, Gornitai, I'm going to do this now. So I don't know what I'm doing. I have imperfect senses, but you exactly know what is the best thing for me. So please help me. I'm asking for your intervention here. I'm taking your shelter. That's the safest way to deal with things. The moment we start thinking, I don't really need to depend on someone else, that is a disaster. That is a disaster because we don't really know anything. What do we know? So the best and the safest thing to do is pray and depend. Always pray and depend. Whatever you may do, whatever activity we do, the whole idea of Manglacharan before reading a Shastra or starting a class is that you take shelter and you depend. That I don't know what I'm going to speak. I don't know anything. I'm a fool, but Krishna, use me as your instrument. Use me as your instrument because you exactly know who needs to hear what and what I need to apply in my own life. So you please use me as an instrument. So that is the safest and the best way to deal with things in this material world.
Okay, Mataji, very nice.
Okay. Harshita, last question, then we are moving on. Okay. Yes.
Maji, just a small question, maybe stupid one also, but it just nags me many times. So, like Manglacharan, it is very long, and we might not not like okay, one day, one time in a day, I will do my reading, hearing in one sitting, and that is so. Sometimes we read for 15 minutes, 10 minutes here. We have 10 minutes, we hear something. So this Manglacharan is so long. So it feels like 5 minutes will go.
Actually, Manglacharan is long. It takes 2 or 3 minutes. It's just in our mind. We are stuck that, it's long. But if you recite it, it doesn't take more than 2 or 3 minutes. First thing. Then second thing, we have to get to the essence of Manglacharan. It is not the verses. It is the essence. It is a mood. So if you don't even want to recite the verses, you can just take shelter. That Krishna, I'm now going to read Bhagavad Gita or I'm going to hear Bhagavad Gita. This has been spoken by you. I'm taking your shelter. Srila Prabhupada, you have given the commentary. I'm taking your shelter so that these words may become transformational in my life so that, my heart can get nourished and I can apply what I read today in my life. So simple. We can do it this way. If you can recite the verses and feel more connected, we can do that. Or if we think that, I am just reciting these verses and not feeling any connection, then you can even pray like this. That's the essence of Manglacharan. Okay? Does that help?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then Prabhupada says that in Western countries, old men retired from active life play cards, fish, watch television, and debate about useless socio-political schemes. All these and other frivolous activities are included in the Prajalpa category. So even fishing is Prajalpa. Even golfing is Prajalpa. And intelligent persons interested in Krishna consciousness should never take part in such activities. So yeah, we should also be very careful. So the whole idea of devotional life is to become conscious. That's why, Prabhupada calls it International Society for Krishna Consciousness. He doesn't say International Society for Krishna Service or Krishna Activities. He says Krishna Consciousness. It's all about the consciousness. It's all about the mood and attitude. So that is something that we really need to focus on. Okay, now somebody can read from Jana Sangha.
Jana Sangha refers to, sorry. Harshita Malaji can continue. I already read one part.
Janasanga refers to associating with persons not interested in Krishna consciousness. One should strictly avoid such association. Srila Narottam Das Thakur has therefore advised us to live only in the association of Krishna conscious devotees, Bhakta Sanevas. One should always engage in the service of the Lord in the association of the Lord's devotees. Association with those engaged in a similar line of business is very conducive to advancement in that business. Consequently, materialistic persons from various associations form various associations and clubs to enhance their endeavors.
Go ahead. We have established, read from there, please.
We have established the International Society for Krishna Consciousness to give people an opportunity to associate with those who have not forgotten Krishna. This spiritual association offered by our ISKCON movement is increasing day by day. Many people from different parts of the world are joining the society to awaken their dormant Krishna consciousness.
Krishna, we can see Prabhupada's mood and mission. What is the whole idea of ISKCON? So we can get from others and we can give to others. What? Our association. We get, we associate with devotees who are of higher caliber to get their association. And we also help those who are newer than us by giving them association. And Prabhupada says that, even in material world, it happens. Materialistic people, they actually form different kind of societies, different kind of clubs, so that they can all of the same mind, they can all get together, who have the same motivation, can all get together and progress. Similarly, the devotees also try to always be in association of devotees because we have the same motivation. So now there are two things. One is to find those devotees who have similar motivation. Because in Krishna consciousness movement also we'll find all kind of devotees. So we need to find those who have the similar motivation and who can help us in progressing. So now here Narottam Das Thakur says, he advises that one should only live in the association of Krishna conscious devotees. Now, in modern world, most of us, go out to work, and there we don't really get to see devotees. We get to interact with materialistic people. Even when we are going to studies, for our studies or wherever, we do have to interact with these materialistic people. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, while commenting on this verse, he says that actually when we go and interact with the materialistic people, and only to the extent that we need to, that is not really considered association. Association is when you acquire their consciousness. So one should be very careful that I don't really indulge in more activities with such people than I need to. So it is not prohibited that we can't go out and work with materialistic people. That's not the thing here. What we are cautioned against it is that we should not come back with their consciousness. Okay, does that help? Okay, now somebody can read this highlighted portion in pink.
Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes in his Anurati commentary that too much endeavor to the acquire knowledge on the part of mental speculations or dry philosophers falls within the category of atyahara, collecting more than needed. According to the Srimad Bhagavatam, the endeavor of the philosophical speculators to write volumes of books on dry philosophy devoid of Krishna consciousness is entirely futile. And this the work of the karmis who write volume of books of economic developments also falls within the category of atyahara. Similarly, those who have no desire for Krishna consciousness and who are simply interested in processing more and more material things, either in the shape of scientific knowledge or monetary gain, or all included under the control of atyahara.
Yeah, so very important point is being made by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, that sometimes even devotees may actually put in a lot of effort to acquire knowledge, right? But if we are not practicing, if we are not becoming more fixed, if we are not getting more attracted to Krishna by acquisition of that knowledge, then it comes in the category of Gyan Prayas. So we have to be careful that whatever knowledge we are acquiring, either by reading or by hearing, are we really applying it in our lives? Are we really practicing it? And is it making me more attracted to Krishna? Is it making me more attracted to the holy name? Is it making me more attracted to my acharyas? If not, then it is just Gyan Prayas. That it does not really have much spiritual benefit. Okay? Mukunda Priyam.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhanvat Pranam.
Hare
Mataji,
Krishna.
pleasure to have as a teacher, so fortunate. Mataji,
Happy to be
I
here.
have a question from the last point where Prabhuji start reading, which you have said, that we should not bring consciousness from the people whom we are associating with at work or so. So what about the people who are at home? Like my husband is not Krishna conscious, and still I have to be in his association or so, or other family members.
Yeah. See, there is one category of people you can avoid, and there's another category of people you cannot avoid. So the family members come in especially immediate family members come in that category, whom you cannot avoid. So in that case, we do everything that we need to do as a duty. We train our consciousness in such a way that I'm serving him, I'm even going out with him sometimes as a duty. This is my duty to serve my husband, to serve my family. So I'm doing this as a duty. Okay? So, and also, if you always maintain that consciousness that I'm doing it as a duty, then it's very likely that you won't take much of their consciousness. And if you do, and the flip side is that if you do your duty really well, they'll become attracted to Krishna consciousness.
Okay, Mataji. Yes, Mataji. But Mataji, sometimes it's very feel like hard because we have limited time. So same time we can utilize in doing our chant.
We also have a responsibility. The highest violence is actually to, make somebody inimical towards Krishna consciousness. That's the highest violence. So we don't want to act in any such way where the persons around us feel that, oh, I don't want to take to Krishna consciousness because devotees are such and such. So we always need to behave in a manner with the responsibility that everyone around me should get attracted to Krishna or at least remain neutral by my behavior. So in the family, it becomes a little tricky because I know that when we interact with people, especially who are not devotees, it seems like a waste of time. But if you tune your consciousness a little bit, then I'm doing this because I'm representing Prabhupada, I'm representing Krishna, and I'm doing this so that they can become attracted to Krishna consciousness, and I'm doing this as a duty. Then it doesn't seem that heavy. Then it actually doesn't seem like you have to undergo quite a bit. Doesn't seem like that.
Yes, Mataji. For practicing, sometimes it's feel okay. I'm practicing the behavior like you were saying right now. So sometimes it's get frustrated. Frustration is too much that say I burst up. So immediately people like say, "Oh, ये तो भक्ति कर रहे हैं. देखो ये भक्ति करके."
Yeah.
So there
So
is
that's
the point of catching that moment when I'm not that perfect.
yeah, none of us are. So that's why we are practicing. This is sadhana bhakti. It's a practice. It doesn't come automatically and it does not come in one day. It's a constant practice. So slowly, you get better. Every day you get a little better by practice. So it will come. Slowly it will come.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Okay, now somebody can read Karmi's labor to accumulate more and more money for future generations.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Karmis labor to accumulate more and more money for future generations only because they do not know their future position. Entrusted only in getting more and more money for their sons and grandsons, such foolish person do not even know what their position is going to be in the next life. There are many incidents that illustrate this point. Once a great Karmi accumulated a vast fortune for his son and grandson, but later, according to his karma, he took his birth in a cobbler's house located near the building which in his previous life he had constructed for his children. It is so happened that when this very cobbler came to his former house, his former sons and grandsons beat him with shoes. Unless the Karmis and Gyanis become interested in Krishna consciousness, they will simply continue to waste their life in fruitless activities.
Yeah, such a wonderful instruction by Srila Prabhupada that, our attachment should be with Krishna and with his pure devotees. So sometimes, especially before coming into Krishna consciousness, we have so many different kind of attachments. But as we come into Krishna consciousness, slowly, we start transferring those affections and attachments to Krishna and things and paraphernalia related to Krishna. So that is a safe position. But if we continue to maintain our attachments and keep getting attached to people and things of this material world, it is going to be a disaster. It is, the birth and the cycle of birth and death is going to continue for time immemorial. So Prabhupada is making us very conscious that don't keep accumulating for future generations. Don't keep working even as devotees that, oh, I have to do this for my family. And don't keep compromising your Krishna consciousness. You do whatever you need to do as a duty, but beyond that, always be cognizant of the fact that my primary occupation is to serve Krishna, to become a devotee. That is my primary occupation and that's my priority in life. Okay, then now Prabhupada is explaining Niyamagraha. So he says, accepting some of the scriptural rules and regulations for immediate benefit as utilitarians advocate is called Niyamagraha. And neglecting the rules and regulations of the Shastra, which are meant for spiritual development, is called Niyam Agraha. So one is Niyam Agraha and one is Niyam Agraha. The word Agraha means eagerness to accept, and Agraha means failure to accept. By addition of either of these two words to the word Niyama, rules and regulations, the word Niyam Agraha is formed. This Niyam Agraha has a twofold meaning that is understood according to the particular combination of words. Those interested in Krishna consciousness should not be eager to accept rules and regulations for economic advancement. Yet they should very faithfully accept scriptural rules and regulations for the advancement of Krishna consciousness. They should strictly follow the regulative principles by avoiding illicit sex, meat eating, gambling, and intoxication. So I want to question, first I want to explain the difference between the two terms. First is Niyam Agraha, long A, Agraha, which means that too much attachment to scriptural rules and regulations. And the other means Niyam Agraha, if we take it like that, it means rejecting the rules and regulations of scriptures. So when do we really do that? Do devotees also do this, either of these two? That's the question I want to ask. Okay, let's start with first one. Do devotees do niyamagraha? Accepting the rules and regulations of the scriptures? No? Yes?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, do you have an example?
Yes, Mataji. Actually, I have observed like one of our senior Mataji. She objected like doing the sequence. Although the sequence is correct, but I mean she is very particular about the process. Whatever happened, the process should follow. So she doesn't consider that these are the new devotees or not, or whether they have that consciousness, like they are not even devotees. We just asked few new people to come to one program, and they don't know how to do the arti. So okay, for teaching purpose is okay, but sometimes it feel like with very new people, it feel like ISKCON people are very particular
Rigid.
about so many things, and they don't accept. They feel insulted, like okay, we don't know anything. Okay, I hope you understand.
I think I do. Before we go further, I really want to request most of you to please switch on your cameras. I'm feeling I'm talking to a wall. It's not a very nice feeling, because already, like I always say, that Zoom is a very impersonal medium, and when people switch off their camera, it becomes even more so. So please switch it on.
Sorry,
Harshita?
Mataji, my battery is very low. I'm
No
attending from
problem.
phones.
No problem. Harshita?
So, I don't know if it's the right example, but just from my consciousness, I'm saying, like, I give the example of Mangalacharan. So just reciting the verses without having this consciousness that I should be praying. That is like Niyam Agraha. Similarly, like when we are doing DT worship, so 4 2 3 3 7. So just was counting completely instead of focusing on the Lord's lotus feet, lotus face, just counting. So that's like
Very good example. Yeah, very good example. That just counting 3 circles, 4 circles, 2 circles, 7 circles, it's better that we focus on what we are really doing. Yeah, that's a very good example of Niyamagraha. And now what Mukund Priya was also saying, that sometimes, when new people join the movement, and if we are very much stuck on the rules and regulations, sometimes we try to push it down their throat without them really coming to a point of accepting the rules and regulations. We try to force it on them. So that is also Niyamagra. I remember in many years ago, one of the preachers, he was giving a class to new devotees, and then he told people that how can you not come in dhotis? You are coming to the temple, you should be wearing dhotis. And one of those new people was a very accomplished lawyer, and he ran off. He did not come back to the temple for another 10 years. He was coming, attending classes, but when he heard such statements, it was a big put off. So sometimes by doing this, whether we do it for ourselves or we do it with others, it can be very detrimental for our spiritual life and for the spiritual life of others. Okay, now the other niyam agraha, that means rejecting the rules and regulations. So what are the examples? When we
Maybe Mataji.
Anji, please say.
Mataji, I have a point in the first regarding the observing the rules and regulations. Quite often, this is true that when the devotees are, when the new, in front of neophytes, we should be lenient. Whatever way they are doing, what things they are wearing. Initially, we can tell them that, yeah, this should be done like this or like that. है ना? But even if the devotees, they are initiated or they are not initiated for so many years, even if those people also feel like that, why so many rules and regulations? If some of us tell them, then Ishwari Mataji had to tell us that please don't get into too much niyamagra. But why don't they understand? In front of those people, we should speak, we should follow at least the basic things. What's wrong in it?
Yeah. So you are basically talking about niyam agraha, like rejecting the rules and regulations, which one should be following. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, just recently I got to know about one incident that the Matajis were not in clean state and they went for the Mangal Aarti. That's fine, but they are hugging each other's. Then some of the devotee said, "Why are you doing this? If you know this, because we will go to the go to home. We won't take bath again. We will be doing puja and
Yeah.
cooking also." Then
Yeah.
they got offended. They got offended and they are initiated.
Yeah.
So this is the basic thing that we should know, that at
Yeah.
least, yeah, we can come to the temple, but this is what we have been taught, that
Yeah, a lot of times, I was just coming to that niyam agraha or rejecting rules and regulations, there are different reasons why it really happens. Sometimes it's just out of sheer laziness. And, oh, I don't really want to follow this. Sometimes devotees don't follow a whole lot of rules and regulations because they're just so lazy to follow. And sometimes, because obviously rules and regulations mean some kind of inconvenience. It is not your default setting. You will have to come out of your comfort zone. So sometimes people just don't want to go through the inconvenience, especially like taking bath in the winters. You have slept during the day for an hour and a half, you get up, you don't want to take a bath. You just say, oh, chalta hai, it's okay. It's too cold. So sometimes like that also people reject because it's just too inconvenient. Then sometimes people reject because they don't understand the essence behind a certain rule or a regulation. They don't understand why it is there. So because they don't understand the higher principle, so they reject it. And sometimes people even reject it thinking, oh, I'm way too advanced. I don't really need to follow such a basic rule anymore. So there could be various reasons and various motivations. So here in this verse, Prabhupada is warning us that we don't tilt on either side. We don't go to niyam agraha, where we just keep on accepting rules and regulations just for the sake of rules and regulations. And at the same time, we don't tilt to the other side where we keep rejecting rules and regulations because it's just too inconvenient or, for multiple reasons. So we have to be very careful. When we follow anything, we should try to understand the essence behind it. Why do I need to do this? What is the purpose of doing this? So if you see that everything really ties back to the consciousness. Why am I doing this? What is the purpose behind it? If you know the purpose, you can stick to it. You can keep yourself motivated. I need to take a bath because after it is said in the Shastra that, after one Mahurat, if you're sleeping, Tamogun descends. And one's consciousness becomes polluted. So I need to get up and I need to take a bath to clear my consciousness. So if you understand that, then it is easier to follow that rule and regulation. Is that okay?
Yes, Madhuji, this is quite fine. But regarding this, the taking bath, even a person like me who tries to do the basic things. I'm not saying that I'm doing it very elaborately, but I'm trying whatever is possible from my end. But even in peak winters, like I was thinking that from last 1.5 months, I hardly took bath, just because of I can say that it may be due to laziness, or I was a little worried that if I'll fall sick, then everything will be stopped. So this,
Yeah. See,
so
this is
even I was thinking,
the whole purpose of
so
that
how
verse.
to,
Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita many times that a devotee is equipoised in hot and cold. A devotee is equipoised in distress and happiness. This is what it means. You know, as long as we keep identifying ourselves as the body and we keep getting attached to that identity, it would become very difficult to become equipoised. So one has to remember this, that this is because of my body. My body is feeling the cold, but Krishna is advising me to become equipoised. So I need to get up and do that. Like in summer, Prabhupada gives this example. In peak summer, mothers get up and cook for their children because they know they have to, even if you're sweating and it's really hot, but you still do it, right? Similarly, we need to understand why we are doing it. Love is the driving force in the first case, where you love your children. It's the peak summer, you want to cook for them, so you don't really care how hot it is. Love is the driving force. Similarly, in winters, when we have to take a bath, there has to be a driving force, and that driving force is Krishna. I need to connect with you, and I need to come in the higher modes to be able to connect with you. I can't when I'm in lower modes. So like that, we can choose a purpose and use that to drive us. Dayanvita?
Hare Krishna Mataji. Mataji, for Niyam Agra, I would say one point, like in home also we don't follow the full rules, all rules which are mentioned in the Shastras or which is defined in the process, because we become, as you mentioned, lazy to follow. But when we are in the temple, we follow all those niyam with full decorum. Like for performing a tulsi puja, we bring the tulsi to the in front of the altar, and then we do like in the temple. But in the home, we feel a sense of laziness. Why to bring that tulsi into the altar? Just we will do outside the service of providing the aartis and same. So there are reasons. For example, as you mentioned, devotees took a rest for 1 or 2 hours, and that tamogun comes up and it destroy our consciousness, also the full day consciousness which we developed in the from the morning program, and don't took bath also. Yeah, so why we don't follow, or the lack of practice, why such kind of tendency we have? Maybe we have taken infinite number of birth and lot of anarthas developed in us, so that makes us increase the tendency to perform sinful activities, like which makes us too lazy. We take it very okay, it's just an aarti, now we can do it. But when we're in the temple, we're in a full mood. No, I have to do it very, I have to polish myself. But same thing we don't do in the home. So why we have such kind of
Because inside out we are not the same.
yes.
Outside we are different than what we are inside. At home, we don't have to pretend to anybody what we are. So we are in our natural possession. So one thing is that. And second thing is that there are certain things that we do in the temple which are more elaborate, like, even Mangalarti or whatever, it's more elaborate. But at home, it is mentioned that in the home worship, you don't really have to do it so elaborately. Temple standards are different from home standards. So that is another thing that one needs to be aware of. That in temple, we do a whole lot of things. That is the temple standard. But at home, that level of standard may not really be required. So you can compromise the standards a little bit for home worship, but the essence has to be there. Okay, is that okay? Okay, let's move on.
so Mataji, please clarify uh, how to keep the balance between the two, because like until and unless I did the DT worship course. Of course, online. So it was not that much elaborate and practical tips were not there, but the basic understanding was there. So till then, I could understand by watching, by seeing others how to do. And when I did that, then I got to know something more. So at times, how to balance between the Niyamagra and Niyamagra?
Yeah, so like I was saying earlier, that Niyamagraha means unnecessary attachment, to rules and regulations, and Niyamagraha means rejecting the rules and regulations. So everything boils down to one thing. Everything in Krishna consciousness boils down to the purpose, the mood, the consciousness. Why am I doing what I'm doing? If I'm like stretching on, if I especially like let me take this example. There are new people coming to the temple, and you start forcing rules and regulations down their throat. It makes no sense. That means you've not really understood the essence of the spiritual life. Essence of the spiritual life is to somehow attract them to Krishna, somehow to attract them to holy name. Rules and regulations are secondary. A lot of times people keep chanting for years and not follow four regulative principles. That's okay. That's what they're ready for right now. We should meet people at the level they are at, and we should not try to force our level on other people. Wherever a person is, we try to encourage them from that point, from that level, that okay, you just want to chant, fine, very nice. If somebody comes who's new and he says, I don't want to chant, but I want to come and do some service in the temple, very nice, please come and do some service. Because we have to realize that everybody who comes to Krishna consciousness joins at a different level, a different sanskar, a different liking. So we have to encourage everyone to somehow become connected to Krishna and not force the rules and regulations down their throat. When they become, attracted enough, when they become committed enough, they themselves will take it up. Is that okay?
So, yeah, Mother. So this means that be very strict to yourself and be lenient to others,
Yeah.
depending on their position, how well they
And
want
also
to
be strict with yourself to the
advance.
limit you can handle. Sometimes we become too strict with ourselves and we keep, beating ourselves that, oh, you are so useless, you couldn't even do that. Oh, see how useless am I? So this is not really humility. This is actually beating yourself unnecessary. So not only do we need to be kind with others, we also need to be kind with ourselves. Just be realistic in your own expectations with yourself. That is also required. Don't think that I'm a pure devotee and I can do everything from tomorrow. Understand that you also have your own set of anarthas, you also have your own set of sanskars, and make a realistic plan and be kind to yourself as well.
So in this case, okay, fine. But in that case, we can become lenient also. Oh, I cannot do this. I cannot do
That's
this.
why.
This can.
Yeah,
This
spiritual
can
life
also
is,
be.
it's like a razor's edge. You have to be very careful. You have to see that you're not tilting towards complacency, and at the same time, you're not tilting towards panic zone. So it has to
Yeah.
be balanced in between, where there is some discomfort, but not too much discomfort that you cannot continue.
So whatever the niyamagra, whatever the rules and regulations that you being only the practicing person at home, whatever is possible from your end, you are doing. But if others are not supporting or they don't want to understand it,
That's
the
okay.
main part comes in the kitchen. So Krishna sees that, right?
Yeah, that's
Because
okay.
you tried your best, and if you cannot change the heart of other, and even if they don't want to understand, people don't want to understand usually. They know the thing, but they don't want to take it up.
That's okay.
So,
Krishna knows.
Mataji, in today's class, in the former previous paragraphs, you mentioned that we have already so many sanskars from our previous lives and we are carrying from the indefinite period. So why to have more? So my question is that uh, even if we are designing anything, like we have mentioned, you have discussed in Atyahara, right? So whatever tendencies that we still have, isn't it from the previous lives that are pushing us? Because
Just don't
this life
fan
we
it.
got,
Don't fan
yeah,
it. You know,
yeah, okay.
there are tendencies from our past lives, there are anarthas from our past life. We tolerate those anarthas. We understand that this is coming from my previous sanskars, my previous activities, but I will not fan it.
Hmm.
Okay,
Yes, thank you.
let's move forward. One should also avoid association with Mayavadis who simply blaspheme Vaishnavas' devotees, Bhukti Kamis who are interested in material happiness, Mukti Kamis who desire liberation by merging in the existence of the formless absolute Brahman, and Siddhi Kamis who desire the perfection of mystic yoga practice are classified as Atyaharis. To associate with such persons is not at all desirable. Desires to expand the mind by perfecting mystic yoga, merging in the existence of Brahman, or attaining whimsical material prosperity, all are included within the category of greed, lolya. All attempts to acquire such material benefits or so called spiritual advancement are impediments on the path of Krishna consciousness. Too much greed. I want this, I want this, I want that. That is also detrimental. Even the Rupa Goswami says that iti mulyam ati lolyam atra mulyam, that that the only way one can actually become Krishna conscious is by developing this intense greed to become Krishna conscious. So that kind of lolya is not being mentioned here. When Rupa Goswami is talking about lolya, this is material greed. This is not spiritual greed. Spiritual greed is very good. But material greed, sometimes disguised as spiritual, that is very detrimental. Okay? Okay, so let's move forward. Then Prabhupada is talking about the capitalists and communists, that how, they are constantly warring with each other, and Rupa Goswami calls this atyahar. He says modern capitalists accumulate more wealth than necessary, and the communists, envious of their prosperity, want to nationalize all wealth and property. Unfortunately, the communists do not know how to solve the problem of wealth and its distribution. Consequently, when the wealth of the capitalist falls into the hands of the communists, no solution results. We can see that in countries where communism was rampant, it did not really bring about any solution. It just brought about more chaos in a different way. In capitalist countries there is chaos, but in communist countries there's a different kind of chaos. So no solutions really happened. So Prabhupada is saying, opposed to these two philosophies, the Krishna conscious ideology states that all wealth belongs to Krishna. Thus, unless all wealth comes under the administration of Krishna, there can be no solution to the economic problem of mankind. Nothing can be solved by placing wealth in the hands of communists or the capitalists. If $100 bill is lying on the street, someone may pick it up and put it in his pocket. Such a man is not honest. Another man may see the money and decide to let it remain there, thinking that he should not touch another's property. Although the second man does not steal the money for his own purpose, he is unaware of its proper use. The third man who sees the $100 bill may pick it up, find the man who lost it, and deliver it to him. This man does not steal the money to spend for himself, nor does he neglect it and let it lie in the street. By taking it and delivering it to the man who has lost it, this man is both honest and wise. So Prabhupada is saying that the wealth belongs to Krishna. So whether it is a capitalist society where few people get to control the wealth, or it is a communist society where it's supposed to be a shared wealth, doesn't really make any sense unless and until that wealth is used for its proper purpose, which is to serve Krishna, because it is meant to serve him. It is not meant to be either controlled by the communist or the capitalist. So that is not really a solution. Then Prabhupada says, everyone has a right to live by utilizing the wealth of the Lord. When people learn the art of scientifically utilizing the Lord's property, they will no longer encroach upon one another's rights. and then an ideal society can be formed. So Prabhupada is giving this in the context of lolya, that greed. You all have, I think you have all done Ishopanishad. You have done Ishopanishad, right? So we read about the Ishavasya principle, right? Ishavasya midam sarvam yat kinchan jagatam jagat, right? So everyone has a quota, a fixed quota. But when a person is greedy, then one wants to live beyond one's quota, by stealing or by cheating others. So like that. So Prabhupada is saying that if one really understands that this wealth is meant to be enjoyed for the Lord, and I am in possession of this wealth as a temporary caretaker of this wealth, and I should use it for maintaining myself and for serving the Lord, then there is no really need to encroach upon anybody else's property. There's no need to steal. There is no need to cheat. And Prabhupada says then an ideal society can be formed. So Prabhupada says this is actually the peace formula. This is the way to actually use the money, that understand that Krishna is the proprietor and he is meant to be served by that wealth. And I just use as much as I need for my own maintenance or maintenance of my family members, but it belongs to Krishna. Then Prabhupada says, Krishna conscious devotees know very well that this material world is designed by the complete arrangement of the Lord to fulfill all the necessities of life for all living beings without their having to encroach upon the life or rights of one another. So this is something also we see, I have seen in the devotee society. Sometimes devotees think that, when they see other devotees who have more money than them, they see, it's okay. I can take it from him. After all, this is all Krishna's money. It does not belong to that devotee. So let me take it from him. So sometimes devotees also do this. They try to cheat other devotees. They try to steal from other devotees. And they use this logic that it all belongs to Krishna. So it's not his. So, I can also have it. So this is such a flawed logic because we all have been given a quota based on our previous karmas, previous balance. So to try and live beyond, outside of that quota or beyond that quota is sinful. One should accept that this is my situation, this is my quota, this has been given to me, and I need to make all arrangements to live within this. There's a reason why some people may have some more money than others. There's a reason behind it. It's not random. Then Prabhupada says, when human society gives up these elementary faults enumerated by Srila Rupa Goswami, Atyahar, etc., all enmity will cease between men and animals, capitalists and communists, and so forth. In addition, all problems of economic or political maladjustment and instability will be solved. This pure consciousness is awakened by the proper spiritual education and practice offered scientifically by the Krishna conscious movement. This Krishna conscious movement offers a spiritual community that can bring about a peaceful condition in the world. Every intelligent man should purify his consciousness and rid himself of the above mentioned 6 hindrances to devotional service by taking wholehearted shelter of this Krishna consciousness movement. So we have finished text 2. Now I want you all to go back and write down how these 6 faults or 6 hindrances that Rupa Goswami is talking about is impacting me in my spiritual life. How I do Atyahar, how I do Prayas, how I do Prajalpa, how I do Janasanga, how I do Niyamagraha, and how I practice Lolya, material greed. And make a list of things, and then it will also help you figure out where you need to make the change, which aspect you really need to change to be able to progress spiritually, to go to the next step. Okay? So like I said, NOI is a book of application. This is an application book. This is not a knowledge book. So please, tomorrow, contemplate on this, meditate on this, and write down how these 6 faults find their place in our own lives. Is that okay? Is that clear? All right, dear devotees, thank you so much for tolerating me, and thank you for your association. Harshita, you want to say something?
Maji, question we can ask tomorrow or now?
Now ask. We still have few minutes. You can ask.
Maji, regarding this using only our quota. So sometimes it might happen that there's a yatra, we do not have enough Lakshmi. So at that time, is it okay or not okay to take money from some devotee and then return it later? Because
It's okay. See, the thing is, what I'm trying to say is that trying to cheat or steal, that is not okay. We can borrow money from someone, or we can tell them that, Prabhu, Mataji, I don't have money, but I really want to go for this yatra. If you would like to sponsor me, or if somebody would like to sponsor me, that would be really wonderful. And then accept. If somebody sponsors, good. If somebody doesn't sponsor, accept it as your quota and be happy with that. You know?
so it's okay to ask? We shouldn't be like, so no, that's Krishna has not given me
No,
so
you can
much,
ask,
my
but
quota.
you should not try to cheat or steal. Okay? Is that okay?
Abaji, a few more I have.
You can ask one more and then we'll go.
So, Master, you said that in association, we should seek within devotees also like-minded association, which devotees which have the same motivation. What does it mean, seeking devotees which
Yeah,
have the same
see,
motivation?
different devotees have different motivations. Not everybody comes with the same motivation to spiritual life. Some people come for fame, some people come for name, some people come for money, some people come for position. So we have to see. They may all be practicing devotional service. Krishna himself says, 4 kind of people come in my shelter. They all may be practicing devotional service. They all may be around us. We may be also one of them. So, so we have to see that who do I really need to associate with?
Maji,
We
this
don't
is very,
we don't judge, but we discriminate. That is the sign of intelligence. We don't judge anybody for their motivation, but we discriminate between devotees for our association. Is that clear?
Maji, yes, I can see the principle, but I don't know how we can actually matlab, apply it to see that who is practicing with what motivation. Like you said,
It will
some people.
become clear once you start associating with somebody. It will become clear what their motivation is,
Okay.
and then you
So
can.
by association, you mean taking their consciousness or doing things with them, like reading
Yeah,
with
even
them?
if you do service with somebody, you do something with somebody, you will get to know their motivation sooner or later.
Acha, okay.
Is that okay?
Initially, like everyone might come with different motivations. Like I also came because I was distressed, but
That's okay. Krishna says that people come to Krishna consciousness or take my shelter with different motivations. That's okay. But over a time, we need to get purified. Our motivation needs to change. It should not remain the same as we came, right?
so
It
you're
needs to-
talking about like, sorry,
Yeah. Say, what were you saying?
like some people who come to temple that okay, give me some promotion, I will offer this to you, or like with this kind of that, like
Yeah,
this
or
means.
sometimes even as devotees, we may have a desire for fame or desire for followers, desire for, especially preachers may develop this desire for more followers. So different motivations could be there.
Association karke hi we will get to know.
Yeah, you'll come.
Uh, uh,
Sometimes you can get to know by observing somebody, and sometimes you can get to know by experiencing it.
and Manaji, what to do if we are not getting proper association?
Pray. Prayer is the solution for everything. Pray. Ask Prabhupada, ask your Guru Maharaj, ask, whoever you're aspiring from, ask the Lord. I need good association. I really need good association. Please arrange it. And if it takes time to get good association, Prabhupada's association is the highest association and it's always available.
Yes, so Manaji, actually for that only, like it's very difficult to read alone, to
So
maintain.
get hold of couple of like-minded devotees and read together.
Yeah, so I've tried many times. Timings only are many times do not match with few friends that we have. Unke साथ timings ही like some want to read
If
at
that is
night. some
happening,
want to
that
read
kind of
at-
constraint is coming, then you just pray and try to do it alone. And then Krishna will, by his mercy, arrange something. Prabhupada, by his mercy, will arrange something. And you'll get the association that you need. When you read, you should pray to Prabhupada that Prabhupada, I am here, I am trying to do this to get your association. I am here trying to understand what I need to do. I am here trying, I'm here as a recipient. I'm here as a recipient to receive what gems you are going to throw my way. So if you have that mood, you can extract gems out of Prabhupada's purports.
So Maje, many times, like since I've tried many times with different people. So I feel angry at Krishna, that Krishna, I'm trying so hard. Alone I'm not so strong. Why don't you give me?
Pray, why get angry? We are in a situation created by our own self. Krishna is not responsible for the situation we are in. Why blame somebody else who's not responsible for that situation? Blame yourself and become more humble and become more dependent and cry when you're praying. Oh, Krishna, look at me, such a fool. What have I gotten myself into? Is that okay? Okay,
Yes.
not need to go. It's 9 o'clock. Okay.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Mansi.
everyone. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna,
Double
Mataji.
blessings.
Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.